The ROG Ally is getting even better. Nvidia joins the big boys, and everything we know about how they make GPUs is gonna change. Let's get into the hot news, everybody. I'm your Brett host. We're gonna be going over the hottest tech news I can find on the internet while you enjoy your breakfast. What day of the week is it? Wednesday, May 31st, 2023, while we bring you coverage live here from Taipei as we experience Computex.
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
One of us is a sleepy boy.
Who's this one person?
Go back to sleep. And one of the things I did get to try here at Computex was getting my first hands-on with the ROG Ally, and I absolutely loved how it felt in my hand. But a lot of people, as they've tested it out in reviews, noted that the performance of it, especially at low power profiles, wasn't as good as we were expecting, nor was it as good as what the Steam Deck can do at equivalent wattage. And it turns out that Asus has finally released a firmware update that's coming out before the ROG Ally has officially launched, which is still happening on June 13th. But what they found is that there was a significant performance improvement of roughly 15 to 25% in these power profiles. So you can see here, Dave2D tested it out. The FPS at 15 watts. The yellow is the ROG Ally before, and the green is the current one. So there is a lot of uptick in several different games at both 15 watts and 25 watts with this new firmware update, delivering a lot more power, so that the ROG Ally is competing with something like the Aya Neo 2S, which has a very similar setup with the 780M GPU. However, at 9 watts, which is this chart right here, you can see that the Steam Deck still beats out everything else because Valve has that custom SoC that allows them to get down to 3 watts of power, and so it is delivering more juice when it comes to just lower gaming settings. The Steam Deck is still better, but after touching the ROG Ally, I'm so excited for it. Kyler?
It felt so good.
It felt so good. I loved it a lot. But you know what also felt good? Today's video sponsor, Silverstone, because they are part of our sponsorship here to bring us to Taipei, to bring you Computex 2023. And as part of their 20th anniversary celebration, they had a whole lot of cool stuff that they showed off at their booth. They had their brand new Sugo 17 case, which is their compact powerhouse. It can fit basically all of the biggest graphics cards that you could possibly want. It supports 2 360mm radiator water cooling. You can fit a full ATX power supply, an SFX power supply, and it can support those monster-sized GPUs. And additionally, it has 80mm fans for exhausting from the GPU directly, supporting up to 4 of those to, again, give you the most amount of airflow and performance that you could possibly see in a mini ITX form factor. But I think the thing that I was the most excited for that Silverstone had to show off, which they didn't make a big deal about, was their SX1000R Platinum. This thing can deliver 1,000 watts for the power supply, super well rated, highly efficient, but it's not SFXL, which has typically been the case with other 1,000 watt power supplies. This is the SFX standard, which means that this thing is tiny, can fit basically into any mini ITX chassis, and you're no longer restricted by getting that L edition add to it. I absolutely love the 1000R. They additionally had a 1,200 watt power supply that's in that SFXL region, which can allow you to power a lot more in a smaller setup. They also had their customizable server chassis, the RM51 and RM52, which allow you to get server grade hardware in that, but also with support for things like water cooling, so that you can have the latest and greatest in terms of keeping your processors cool, but also supporting the latest beefy graphics cards that require more expansion slots, and they've designed the RM52 in order to make that happen. And as is the case with previous RM series server chassis, you can either use them in a rack mount or you can stand them vertically. But then the big honkin' showcase that they had at Computex this year was the Alta F2. Essentially is the culmination of everything that they have learned from case design over the years that they've been in business in the last 2 decades. They're claiming it has better cooling performance than an open frame system. It comes pre-installed with their air penetrator 180mm fans, and it's done some intriguing things when it comes to the airflow path within the system, like giving the GPU an 11.3 degree tilt, which they have determined is the optimal way to keep your GPU cool. Instead of having it vertical, having it slightly off axis will actually give you better thermal performance in creating a short airflow pathway for the GPU, giving you a large amount of cool airflow with the chassis. They've done a lot of testing. It's a really unique case that can fit basically all of the hardware you want. This is what you're gonna showcase a custom liquid cooled build in, and is really the pinnacle of all of the design ideas that Silverstone has been bringing out over the last 20 years. So check out Silverstone and all of the things they had to show off at Computex this year down below in the video description. Big thanks again to them for sending us here to Taipei. Kyler enjoyed it. It was our first booth tour of the entire expo, and it was a lovely one, wasn't it?
I loved it.
I loved it too. Shout out to Tony who showed us around. We had a good time, and we're about to have a good time with PC games. We're eating good because it was announced after the PlayStation showcase that Ratchet Clank Rift Apart will be coming to PC later this summer. July 26th is going to be the release date, and it's going to have new enhancements on the PC version, such as ray trace shadows, as well as 21:9, 32:9, and even 48:9 triple monitor setup support. And you have unlocked frame rate, you've got the upscaling tech in DLSS 3, FSR2, XESS, and Nvidia's Reflex. Obviously, we have to wait and see whether or not this port is going to be any good. Obviously, we've had some struggles with a few ports over the last few months, and so we'll have to wait and see what it looks like. And I'm not going to wait and see Reece anymore because he unfortunately couldn't make it to Computex, and I'm still sad about that every day. Every time Kyler and I go out, I'm like, I wish Reece was here. Shouts out Reece.
Yo, welcome back to UFD Deals, bringing the hottest tech deals out on the internet. And I noticed yesterday that one of the deals wasn't active anymore when the video went live. I try and record these as late as possible, but still giving Catlin time to edit. It is what it is, it sucks. But thankfully we have replacement deals, starting with the AMD Ryzen 5 4500. This 6-core socket AM4 CPU is going for only $69 with the included promo code, making it $60 off and the lowest price in 30 days. Also the best price for a CPU in my opinion. And then the perfect thing to pair that with is this ASRock Challenger D, which is a Radeon RX 6700 XT. With 12 gigs of GDDR6, you can flex on your 8 gig friends, which includes me, unfortunately. And you can pick it up for only $309.99 with the included promo code. And with that, the deals are done. You can find these and more linked in the video description down below. But until next time, I'm gonna hand you off back to Brett for the rest of your hot news. Cheers.
Thanks, Reece. That's a really good deal. It's also a really good deal if you buy an RTX 40 series GPU and you don't melt the connector because you forgot to plug it in all the way. One of the things that I forgot to mention in yesterday's MSI video that we showcased was the fact that they had this 12-pin GPU power connector on display to show you how easy it is to remember not to mess it up. So they have a yellow tip on the power connector that when fully inserted, you no longer see. But if you at all see yellow, you'll know that the GPU isn't fully inserted, and that would make it so that you could potentially have some of the melting issues that were showing up back when the RTX 40 series originally launched. It's a unique implementation of solving a problem that isn't their fault, but can actually make the lives of the people who have these products a lot easier. So it's a really neat thing that MSI is showing off here. But regardless of whether or not RTX 40 series need to have better power connectors, it doesn't matter, okay? Because the company was worth over $1 trillion yesterday, or selling 600 million units of the RTX 4090. Nvidia briefly joining a list of other tech companies who are worth over $1 trillion. You can see when they were north of $410, that's when they hit the $1 trillion market cap. It would have been slightly like on brand for it to be 420. They were really close. But unfortunately, with the market close, they came in at 401, which means that they are below the $1 trillion, at least at market close, but it does look like they're going to continue to be there, especially with the surging of AI that's happening, with Nvidia claiming to have 60% of the monetizable hardware market when it comes to AI. This is likely going to be their future, and it's finally the success that they've been waiting for to take over everything. Which again, every single day, I'm super thankful that they never got the ability to acquire ARM, because I think that would have been devastating for the tech industry as a whole. But Nvidia, given a little Q&A where people were able to ask Jensen directly about a lot of the stuff that was going on. He talked about the 4060 Ti VRAM. He basically said, shut up, nerds. You have the VRAM isn't important as much as the cache is, so just, it's not that bad. He didn't put it in that language, but essentially it was saying everybody who's making this a big deal is blowing it out of proportion. And then there was a question asked with regards to, should gamers feel like you're gonna ignore them now that you have AI? And he was kind of like, no, we gave AI to gamers first. RTX originally came out to graphics cards, except for it didn't, because they put Tensor Cores in Titan Volta, which came out before the RTX 20 series, but let's just ignore that entirely. Additionally, he talked about how they showed off the AI generated game thing that we talked about in an episode of Hot News a couple days ago, and that was their first implementation of the new generative AI stuff that they're using, which is like, yeah, technically, but it's not good. This is not where you're putting all of your research, all of your development. You're putting it into the actual server side. So it felt a little bit like pandering, like he didn't want us to feel like he was abandoning us, but essentially they are going to be abandoning us. And it looks like Nvidia might be abandoning TSMC or Samsung in the coming future, because Jensen did talk about how they have some test samples of upcoming nodes from Intel with regards to making GPUs or anything. And they said that it does look good. They're evaluating the process and they're open to manufacturing with Intel, which is a rumor that's been floating around for a while now. It does look like Jensen and Pat Gelsinger are talking about moving this forward. So Nvidia GPUs brought to you by Intel and their fabrication facilities, especially in the United States with all of the political tension that's going on with China and Taiwan and TSMC. It does make sense for them to have the ability to have a foundry in the United States, and that's where Intel comes into play. So Nvidia brought to you by Intel. Everybody's gonna be winning. It's gonna be a delicious soup of blue and green graphics cards. And the soup of today's hot news is over. Come spoon me tomorrow.